you're a Cleveland Browns fan looking for a break from the emotional roller coaster that is the price we pay from loving then hating our Browns, then a big welcome to Cleveland Browns Anonymous, a group therapy podcast to help you survive the season. So let's start our meeting.
All right. Hey, everyone. This is Brook. I'm here with Mike on a post-draft podcast recap. Mike, how you doing?
Good. I'm feeling good. It's not only the A-plus draft recap, but also just got done watching the Cavs smoke the Heat 4 straight by 55 points. So much for Heat culture down in South Beach. And I'm just going to add 1 minute to this Browns podcast on the draft, talk a little bit just about the Cavs series. And Brooke, put your 2 cents in, but I got to tell you something. I've seen some just blowout wins. I still love watching the Cavs beat the Jordan Bulls in 91. We was either 91, 92. Cavs have gotten beat down by the Bulls in game 1 in Chicago. Game 2, they came out. And I think at one point they were up like 40 points, 35 points in the first half. Just absolutely killed the Bulls. So, when I'm kind of feeling down, I'll go on YouTube and I'll just watch that game. But I have to say, this game, it was kind of boring. It's like watching the Cavs play John Carroll, college team. So your thoughts, Bear?
Yeah, I'm surprised that they swept. I thought for sure Miami would, eke one out. But, it felt like each game, except for the second game, Cavs just looked better and better. So, I think looks like we're going to probably play the Pacers next. So, they're a step up from the Heat. So, but it's like I told my wife yesterday, once the game was over, it's like, I don't care. On to the next one.
Yeah, we're on to Cincinnati. But for you football people, you got to watch that Belichick interview. PBS Morning. I haven't seen it, but my wife said, "Have you seen that Belichick interview?" I'm like,
"Oh, I saw it."
What? Hey, all right. Before we get into the draft, so what was that about, Brooke? I guess she doesn't want to go to Cincinnati, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think if your goal was to, so Bill Belichick wrote a new book that's out, so that's why he agreed to the interview. So I would say if her goal, because she's like not only his girlfriend, but also like his marketing, whatever.
Yeah, so she took a few marketing classes in college. I get it. Okay.
So if her goal was to promote his book, then she did an A-plus job because everyone is talking about this CBS Sunday Morning interview. But basically, like what everyone's talking about is the person interviewing Bill asks him, hey, like her name's Jordan. And he was like, yeah, so I know you've got this new girlfriend, Jordan. How'd you guys meet? A pretty standard question.
Yeah.
And she butted in and said, oh, we're not talking about that. And what everyone is saying, it's like, if that's and apparently CBS released a statement, or I think they said it in the interview, being like, yeah, this happened just nonstop, where she just would step in and be like, nope, we're not talking about that. Nope, we're not talking about that. So apparently it was just, I would love to see.
Why is this the tip of the iceberg?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Well, they say a lot of these people that are, geniuses like Bill Belichick, their personal life qualities aren't exactly the strongest. All right. Okay. Enough of the gossip. Enough of the Cavs. Let's go to the Browns. And Brook, we said in the podcast before, listen to that. We were making and as you said, and a lot of people said, they had to nail it, right? So talk to me on that nailing.
Well, I mean, let's start off the bat. I traded back from 2 to 5, got a first round pick, got a second round pick, still got a top 5 player in Mason Graham. So I think in the moment I was, I wasn't thrilled, but after sleeping on it, I think we both agreed that, on paper at least, he looks like he's going to be, just a real great player, impact player.
Yeah. Well, it's the Browns Nation has a lot of PTS on this. PTSD. Because when they're trading down, what trading down in Browns Nation means? Julio Jones. But this was no Julio Jones. In fact, this was a really, I would have picked it. I would have picked this guy over Abdul Carter in terms of helping Miles, pushing that pocket up. We got, Michael Hall, Buckeyes, who was coming on strong before he got hurt, pushing the pocket. Miles was going to be feasting with that guy on the line with him. And then we've got, and then the other pick was the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Yeah.
So
I wanted him.
Yeah.
Quinshon Judkins. So, and then you get that other, there's not one player in this draft that I don't like.
Yeah.
I love this tight end. I love this other running back, the guy from Tennessee. They're describing the Tennessee running back and the Ohio State running back as like thunder and lightning, where Judkins is more of a, north-south, just super strong. He'll just bulldoze through. And then this guy they got from Tennessee is just really shifty and fast and quick.
I like Chubb and Kareem Hunt.
Yeah. I love this tight end. He's got just a super high upside. And, let's address the elephant in the room, the two quarterbacks in Shedeur and Dillon Gabriel. I think, a lot of people are saying that the Shedeur pick was a Jimmy Haslam pick.
No.
I see it more as like the analytics are saying we're getting a guy who has probably a second round draft grade in the 5th round. Yeah, we're going to take him.
Yeah. And the Browns, to their credit, they stayed true to what their philosophy was: best player available. And they really liked this Dillon Bradley. What's his name?
Dillon Gabriel.
Okay. Bob Dillon and the Angel Gabriel.
I think what people are upset about, and I don't really understand what there is to be upset about, but I think if you had swapped, like if they had gotten Shedeur in the 3rd round and Gabriel in the 5th round, it would make a lot more sense. But I think a lot of people are coming away from this draft, because I listen to a number of other podcasts, that talk about sports, and I think the consensus is, hey, the Browns did an amazing job, but we're just a little confused here.
I think they like Dillon Gabriel better. On their board. Come on. So Shedeur was just a reclamation project, and good for the Browns for staying true to their philosophy going in, because Barry was adamant. We're taking best player available. We're not going to do a reach for a need base, like take a left tackle, which, if the left tackle doesn't have that, 3rd, 4th round grade, they're not taking them, So, and same thing with the wide receiver. I'm so glad they didn't take a wide receiver. Well, we need another Rashard Higgins, at 6. I'd rather take Shedeur with some big time upside.
Right.
That's a big upgrade over DTR. Plus, Shedeur runs that pro offense. He had no O-line. I mean, he's got the DNA of the son of a NFL player, son of a pro player. I mean, how many Bobby Wood Jr. on the KC Royals? You've got Vlad Guerrero Jr. I mean, how many juniors coming out? I mean, these guys are better than their dads. So if we get anything close to prime time with Shedeur on the upside. But I really think Dillon Gabriel, they did a secret meeting with him in Oregon. They flew, to Colorado and, took out Shedeur and Hunter, but they did a sneak trip on Air Aslam to really sit down with Dillon Gabriel. So, and I think you said that today earlier, Brooke, that you put 2 inches on Dillon Gabriel, he's in the first round, right?
Hey, let's stop here. We got to pay some bills. 30 seconds, and we'll be back. Getting your house ready to sell, or you just need some basic repairs, and you can't get anybody to come out or even return your phone call. Then call Riley Painting and Contracting, your home mechanics, for all of your home repair needs, from electrical, plumbing, roof repairs, and getting your house ready to sell. 45 years in the business, a AAA on the Better Business Bureau, and we're on the preferred contractor list in Cleveland Heights and Shaker Heights. You can contact us by calling 216-371-8160 and leave a message. And guess what? We'll call you back.
Yeah, that's his only knock. He, his play as a quarterback is pretty perfect for Stefanski, where he's just known for these quick, hike the ball, you snap it, and boom, the ball's out. That's just kind of what. He's known for. He was also, out of all the quarterbacks, I heard this on Todd McShay's podcast, he's the most experienced quarterback in this draft class, meaning he's played the most games.
Well, DTR was like that. They were all, that's the thing about the Browns and, Mary Kay and, she was just going on and on, DTR this last year. The guy had reached a ceiling in college. There wasn't any more upside to this guy. And it showed in his play. But then again,
I think the difference though between DTR and Dillon Gabriel is Dillon Gabriel played for Oregon, and for most of college football last year, they were the number 1 ranked college football team. So, he's got this pedigree of, he's a winner. Now, he lost to the Buckeyes, but at least with DTR, I think DTR played for UCLA. It's a good school, but they weren't, they were probably like a 500 team. So I don't know. I see a lot of like a Baker Mayfield and Dillon Gabriel. He's short, he's strong, he's got a good arm. So, I wouldn't sleep on him coming out of camp as, a potential starter.
Well, let me just put a asterisk on DTR without throwing him under the bus. You got a discount last year. Last year was beyond effed up for the Browns. You had Dorsey. You totally changed the offense. You got away from what made you successful, and the Stefanski type offense that Jacoby Brissett did well in, that Joe Flacco did well in when he came in, and that's run the ball, play action, a lot of medium routes. Baker looked really, really good in that Pittsburgh playoff game. He's getting that ball out quickly. So if you could replicate that with Dillon Gabriel, then, we got a buried diamond here in the draft.
2 firsts next year.
Oh,
I think if I'm Andrew Berry, probably when draft night ended on Thursday night, if I'm him, if I'm Paul DePodesta, I'm Kevin Stefanski, and I'm Jimmy Haslam, I think they went into this thinking, look, we got 2 firsts next year. We got Flacco, got Kenny Pickett. We're going to take, if the board falls the way we think it's going to fall, we're going to draft 2 young quarterbacks who we really like. We're going to see how it works. And if there is any glimmer of this is our guy, then it's a grand slam. You have your quarterback and you've got 2 firsts. So
I don't think they went in there thinking they were going to get Shedeur or 2 quarterbacks. I think they, looking at that 5th round, when they got into that 5th round and they saw Shedeur was still on the board, that's when they just said, okay, we're all in. Chips all in, 6th, 7th round, move up, grab them. We're done for the day. Why get another glorified special teamer? Or maybe they were on the verge of taking, some offensive lineman. I mean, they really seem to do well in the draft with these offensive linemen at, 4 and 5, Luke Whippler last year, the Ohio State center. I think the big question mark for the Browns is there is a kind of a weak spot in their managerial coaching style when you think about what happened with Clowney acting up, the Browns not doing anything, Odell acting up, Browns not doing anything, Deshaun Watson pretty much dictating what he wanted to do in the offense, and the Browns just management, analytics, Harvard, pretty much pussies out there in terms of managing. So I'm just hoping that when Stefanski has a guy that is coachable, that wants to be coached, as opposed to Baker playing in his contract year and just feeling he's got to be out there, to justify a big contract, or Clowney acting out, or Odell acting out and throwing Baker under the bus. You get, when Stefanski has the Case Keenums, the Jacoby Brissett's, the Joe Flacco's, the guys that are buying into what he's doing, the early Bakers, Browns do well.
And we got the perfect person to try it out with on Shedeur.
Yeah.
Which is why it's kind of like, a part of me, like, it's exciting that they got Shedeur in the 5th round, because there's some people who had him higher than Cam Ward. So they got the value, but a part of me kind of wishes, like, I go back and forth that they didn't get him just so they could have a year where, they're just building this young team, getting back to what they were good at, but they decided to, go in a different direction.
Well, and people forget the Redskins, the old Redskins team. They took 2 quarterbacks. They took Robert Griffin in 1, and then they took Cousins in 3. And I remember Cousins, when Griffin got hurt, Cousins stepped in. I remember they coming into Cleveland, beating the Browns.
They played us.
Yeah, Cousins was looking like, those are the days. I don't know. We got to get back to the shutdown D, where it's not just the weather that's shutting down the quarterback, but you'd have teams coming in. Like, remember Joe Woods led defense where who was that guy that was the quarterback of the New England Patriots a couple years ago? The young kid from
Mac Jones.
Mac Jones comes, and the guy looks like the second coming of Tom Brady against the Joe Woods defense. He did it to the Browns twice. So, Stefanski, I think the Browns, if everything breaks the right way, we don't get hit by the injury bug. I could really see Flacco starting. See them trading Kenny Pickett, pull the Brock Osweiler move. Somebody goes down in a training camp. Teams are desperate for a quarterback, and now the Browns got leverage. And then maybe they pick up a third or a fourth. Or maybe they pick up a wide receiver. I don't know.
I think in a perfect world, you start Flacco, and then, it's a battle for the number 2 guy, whether that's Shedeur, whether that's Dillon Gabriel.
Yeah.
But you definitely have to play these guys, Dillon and Shedeur, this upcoming season.
Now, Flacco's going to be in shape, unlike Deshaun. Flacco's going to step in there game 1. I think Gabriel will be number 2 on the depth chart. So, and hey, don't underestimate the fact, Browns, look at the last couple of years, all the injuries to their quarterbacks. Really? 4 quarterbacks? I think you got to figure one's going down. That seems to be the Browns, lot in life. So, but, hey, bottom line, we said on the podcast, they had to nail it. They nailed it. So I'm going to end on that note.
Yeah. And for all those people out there, I saw this last night, for all those people out there who looked at the video clip or the picture of the Browns war room reaction to drafting Shedeur, on the surface level, they don't look too thrilled, but there was a guy who showed every other pick besides the Mason Graham one, every other pick. Andrew Berry and Stefanski had the same exact reaction as they did to Shedeur. So don't read too much into that. I did, and then I saw that.
No, we were joking about it, but that Jimmy, the meds finally wore off. But no, that's Berry and Stefanski. So yeah, Jimmy was quoted. Anderson, Jimmy lets us do our job. Okay, man, you did a good job. Okay, we've come a long way since Ray Farmer, Mike Patton, and Johnny Manziel, right? So hopefully let's get back on that road. All right, Brooke, I got to go back to work. Boss is yelling.
All right.
Okay. Talk later.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Cleveland Browns Anonymous podcast with Mike Riley. We have a lot more content on the way as we get this new podcast started. You can also check out some of our other podcasts, like the Cleveland Real Estate Investor Podcast, and other new ones that will start soon. On any platform that you find yourself listening to us on, feel free to leave us a like or comment or follow us. It always helps.